Battlocity 26. Don't mind the fact that it says I've already completed this one, I accidentally did in practice. A slacking pair. They're tough if they aren't truants. This is kind of fitting that it comes after the Vigoroth battle. This is a very interesting one. So, we have 2 level 50 slackings, both of which only have double-edged Shadow Ball and are holding choice bands. And then we have an Exploud with Roar. We're up against Pokemon, and all 3 of them have Protect. That's the main thing that we need to know here. Because the slackings actually one-shot everything provided they're using the right move. But there's something that we need to get around if we want to win this. It's actually quite an interesting one. So, let's break out of laziness to win this fight. So, our opponent leads with Kecleon and Blissey, both Pokemon that will fall in one hit to a Slacking's attacks. However, there is a slight problem. So you'll see here we have 2 Slackings. Now, for those who don't know how Slacking works, its stats are insane, but it has an ability that means it can only attack every other turn. This is a turn where Slacking is attacking. Unfortunately, if we have Slacking attack this turn, something is going to happen. The AI always protects with both their Pokemon on every odd-numbered turn, and since those are the turns when Slacking is attacking, this means that if things continue as they are, we cannot win this. We will not be able to hit the opponent's Pokemon at all. Yeah, Slacking really hates Protect. So instead, we need to find some way to desync our Slacking's Truant turns so that we're being Truant on every odd-numbered turn instead of even-numbered turns. And for that, we need to switch out one of our 2 Slackings, it doesn't really matter which, for Exploud on the first turn. You have an 8-turn limit for this, but I've actually found a way to do it in 6. There are a few ways to do this. A lot of people that I've seen use Roar on one of the opposing Pokemon. I do things a little bit differently. So yeah, Slacking uses Double Edge, it completely fails. Now, Slacking is going to attempt to use Double Edge again, even though it won't work, while Exploud is going to Roar my own Slacking. So as you can see there, Slacking is loafing around. Now, the opposing Pokemon's attacks don't really matter. The real threat here is the turn limit, not their actual damage. As you can see, their damage is absolutely pathetic. Even this Kecleon. Not much. So, Exploud roars out our own Pokemon, forcing the male Slacking to be swapped out for the female Slacking. Now, this is still an attacking turn for female Slacking, so she's going to end up getting blocked too. I'm just going to go for Shadow Ball because it doesn't really matter. While Exploud has to go ahead and switch out for male Slacking. Remember also though that both Slackings have choice bands, so if you lock yourself into Double Edge you won't be able to hurt the Dusclops, and if you lock yourself into Shadow Ball you won't be able to hurt the normal types. It's now an even-numbered turn. However, our male Slacking is actually able to attack because it just switched in. So, we've succeeded in desyncing male Slacking's Truant turns. It's now Truant on every odd-numbered turn instead of even, and that's when the foe protects. And they won't switch up their Protect strategy, so male Slacking can actually do some damage now. So, all that's left is to figure out how to let female Slacking do some damage. I'm going to switch out for Exploud here, while male Slacking smacks that Blissey down. Now, we're going to take a whole ton of recall damage here, because Blissey has a huge amount of HP, and recall from Double Edge is a third of the damage you do. But Blissey will go down to 1 hit. And Dusclops comes out. Dusclops is immune to Double Edge, but I will be able to Double Edge the Kecleon on turn 6. So, this is an odd number turn, both foes are going to protect. However, that's just fine because male Slacking is Truant this turn anyway. Exploud will now switch out for the female Slacking. And, like I said, male Slacking is Truant. But it doesn't matter because both opponents are protecting. No matter when Dusclops comes out, it'll always protect on odd-numbered turns. So, now it's an even-numbered turn, female Slacking has just been sent out, and so it's an attacking turn for female Slacking. And it's not a protect turn for the enemy, so she can go ahead and Shadow Ball that Dusclops, while I'm pretty sure I've got the, yes, I have the Slackings around right. This is male Slacking double edges the Kecleon. Every Pokemon here goes down in one hit, provided you use the right attack on them. So, Kecleon goes down. Female Slacking gets to use Shadow Ball. And there! Done in 6 turns. So, I'll just confess something. This is actually a re-record of this battle CD. When I first did this, I was able to finish it in 6 turns in practice, but when I actually tried recording it, I, for some reason, couldn't figure out how I was able to do that. I was having a bit of an off day that day, though. Then, I was watching over the footage in editing and realised that it was staring me in the face what I needed to do. I simply had to switch X-Cloud out for the female Slacking on turn 5. So, I've gone back here and re-recorded this. And that's this battle CD done in 6 turns. For completing this battle CD, we get an Ultra Ball. Not nearly as good as the 5 Lumberries. The advice for this battle CD pretty much sums up its general premise. You need to get around those protect turns and desync your Slacking's truants so that you're getting your truant turn on the turn that the AI does protect, rather than one where it doesn't. This CD teaches an important lesson that any Slacking user needs to know. Slacking absolutely hates protect. If Slacking is against a Pokemon with Protect one-on-one, Slacking generally cannot win, as the opponent will keep protecting on the turns that it gets to attack. A secondary lesson here is that Pokemon using choice items, in Gen 3 this is only choice banned, need to be careful of type immunity. In this case, a Slacking that uses Shadow Ball can't hurt the normal types here, and one that uses Double Edge can't hurt the Dusclops. This is something that all choice attackers, not just Slacking, need to be careful of, especially in multiplayer battles, where your opponent will switch to take advantage of this. Both Slacking and the Truant ability haven't really changed much over the generations. In fact, it's the biggest reason why you don't see Slacking much competitively outside of Generation 3. Back then it was a monster, but thanks to power creep, not so much anymore. But some of the other mechanics involved in this CD have seen a few changes. In Generation 7, if a Pokemon that's locked into a move with a choice item is forced to use a move that it's not locked into via something like Instruct or Dancer, then that move will fail and won't consume PP. There are also a couple of glitches involving choice items introduced in later generations, but I won't really be discussing those since they weren't intentional mechanical changes. Roar also got a change in Generation 6 that actually would have affected this battle CD quite a bit. In Gen 6, Roar always hits regardless of accuracy and evasion, and also bypasses Protect. Meaning the X-Cloud here would have been able to roar away the opponents even if they're on their Protect turns. Battle CD 27, Big Bang, sorry. Surviving self-destruct is the key. This is another one of my favourite battle cities just because what you have to do to win this one is so cool. So, we have a Porygon 2, finally an actually good member of the Porygon family, a Hitmonlee with some kinda weird moves, up against a Graveler with only Protect and Self-Destruct, and a Dusclops with Protect and Astonish, and we have to win in 2 turns. If you don't know how to solve this one, you're probably gonna love watching this because, I don't know, in my opinion the solution to this is just so cool. So, here comes Graveler and Dusclops, the only Pokemon that we need to deal with, but we only have 2 turns to do it. Also, being a Ghost type, there isn't much our Pokemon can do to Dusclops. We have to find some way to get rid of it, we have to find a more creative way of getting rid of it. So, Porygon 2 on turn 1 needs to use Conversion 2. The way Conversion 2 works is that it transforms the user into a type resistant to the last attack that it took. Porygon 2 hasn't taken any attack yet, and it actually won't this turn because both opponents will protect. But we need to conversion into something here, so how do we do that? Well, here's the thing. Explosion is a normal type move. Well, self-destruct in this case. Hitmonlee happens to have a normal type move, so if we tackle our own Porygon 2 with Hitmonlee, we can have it conversion into a type that resists normal. Now, this could be either Rock, Steel, or Ghost. It doesn't really matter which one it turns into. Any of them work. So, let's see what Porygon 2 ends up becoming. So yeah, it can be any type that's resistant to the last second. Oh, hey, Ghost type, that's the best one. I almost never get Ghost, I usually get Steel. Doesn't really matter though. So, now that Porygon 2 is a Ghost type, Porygon 2 is going to go ahead and aim Psybeam at Dusclops, but it might not be necessary because Graveler is going to explode this turn. Porygon 2 is now immune to it, or resistant if you turn into a Rock or Steel type. It really doesn't matter. Porygon 2 is guaranteed to survive Explosion, provided that you've conversion 2'd into a type resistant to normal. But we need to get rid of Dusclops on turn 2, and that's normally impossible, unless we do something hilarious. So, Foresight removes the Ghost type's immunity to normal and fighting. That includes from its own side's moves, so if we hit the Dusclops with Foresight, just as its partner explodes, you'll see. This is a pretty amazing solution. Psybeam's not really necessary here, just because of how powerful self-destruct is, but watch this. Graveler goes boom. Porygon 2 is now immune to that, or resistant as the case may be. Hitmonlee definitely goes down, but he's done his work well, because, thanks to his Foresight, Dusclops gets blown up by its own partner, even though it's a Ghost type. I love this battle CD. It's just so cool when you do it right. Seems like the trainer was hit by the explosion too. So, for completing that battle CD, what do we get? A timer ball. You can buy those pretty easily, that's not really that big a deal. The advice for this one... that is actually kinda necessary to win here, so I'm glad they tell you about it. Although if you happen to have a Pokemon with a move conversion too, the move's description does do a pretty good job of explaining what it does, I think. This battle CD is mostly a lesson in how Conversion 2 works. It can help you survive certain attacks, and in some contexts you may be able to attack your own partner to get the benefit of it, though don't count on this being a good tactic 99% of the time, it's usually not. Also, though some people may know that Foresight makes a Ghost type vulnerable to normal and fighting moves, this CD shows that includes the moves of its own allies, as well as enemies. Although its use here is very situational, it is kind of hilarious using Foresight on a Ghost before its partner uses Explosion. Conversion 2 actually got a pretty big change in Generation 5. In earlier generations, the move targets the user, and turns them into a type that resists the type of the last attack they took. In Generation 5 though, you get to choose a target for Conversion 2. And the user will turn into a type that resists the type of the move that your chosen target last used. This means that you can get the same effect as this battle CD without needing to attack your own partner. You just need to make sure that your partner last used a normal move, and then target them with Conversion 2. They also took a lot into account when they did this, so if the last move your target used was something like Nature Power that can change type, or a move like Hidden Power that has a different type based on the Pokemon's IVs, the move is considered that type when it comes to Conversion 2. The only real exception is that Conversion 2 will fail if the target last used a move that's typeless, like Struggle or in some very rare occasions Revelation Dance. It also bypasses accuracy and evasion checks to always hit now. Sadly, in Generation 7, Conversion 2 did not get as big a buff as regular Conversion did. Its Z-move effect is restoring all your HP. Not that special considering that Porygon 2 already has access to Recover. And speaking of moves that now bypass accuracy and evasion checks to always hit, Foresight also does this starting in Generation 4. This makes perfect sense since Foresight is meant to negate the effects of evasion anyway, so it would be stupid if it could fail due to evasion. There was also a pretty big change to the way self-destruct and explosion work in Generation 5. I'll save talking about that until the next Battle CD though, because it's a little more relevant there. Battle CD 28, Bomb Squad, prevent the opponent's explosion. Yeah, we're going from one boom-based CD to yet another one. This one's a bit different though. So, on our side, we have a Feraligator and a Furret. It's kind of a weird bomb squad, but anyway. Note their moves in particular. On the opposing side, we have an Ariados and a Xatu. Now, they're not really that much of a threat on their own, but the moment that either of them gets KO'd, they'll be replaced by this Electrode that has Explosion and a Choice Band. If we let this Electrode explode, then we're done. But what's this Psyduck doing here? We'll find out. Oh, I should mention this is another Battle CD where the fact that the check screen doesn't list Pokemon's abilities is a bit annoying. You need to have a bit of general knowledge here and know what the abilities of these Pokemon are. This area is kind of a hotspot for explosion-based Battle CDs, isn't it? Oh, good thing it's only a simulated room. Anyway, Ariados and Xatu come out first. Neither of them is that much of a threat to us, but we want to whittle down their HP roughly evenly. Thankfully, we have some spread moves to do that, so I'm going to go for Surf buff by Helping Hand. You want to make sure that both of these Pokemon faint on the same turn, because if they don't, then you're in trouble. If Electrode comes out on its own, you pretty much lost this. But if Electrode comes out at the same time the Psyduck does, then things are a little bit different. So yeah, you want to whittle down their HP as evenly as possible. Okay, we're getting roughly 3-hit KOs on both of them, so that should be fine. We didn't quite bring Ariados down to half. You know what? I'm going to go for a non-helping-handed Surf this time. And going to go for Follow Me on Furret. The key to this Battle CD is making sure that you slowly whittle down the health of both opponents at roughly the same rates. They need to both faint in the same turn. Okay, getting close. One more Helping Handed Surf should do it. Yeah, see how Xatu takes a lot less damage from that, but Helping Handed Surf should definitely be enough. That actually kind of hurt, but doesn't really matter, because now, Surf boosted by Helping Hand should finish off both of them this turn. And once it does, that's the key to winning this Battle CD. And you're going for Future Sight. That actually could be a problem later, but for now, doesn't really matter. Ariados goes down, and the moment that one of them goes down, Electrode comes out. If the other one doesn't also go down in the same turn, you're doomed, because Electrode is fast and will explode. And that'll wipe you both out. But Electrodes come out, and also Psyduck. And this was the Bomb Squad's key strategy here, because now that Psyduck is out in the field, well, you'll see what that implies. You want to double up on the Electrode, though. Yep, the Damp ability prevents anyone on the field from exploding, even Pokemon on your own side. So, since the Electrode is out at the same time the Psyduck is, we don't need to worry about explosion. In fact, Electrode is actually now doomed into struggling, because it can't do anything anymore. Also, yeah, that Psyduck on its own is not a threat, but make sure you don't knock it out while the Electrode is still on the field, because that will get rid of the Damp, and then, yeah. Oh, that's kind of interesting. The move doesn't actually provoke struggling if it's useless due to Damp. Okay, well, with Electrode gone, though, I'm a little worried about that Future Sight, but one-on-one versus Psyduck is not difficult to win. Well, that's annoying. Okay, I'm glad the healthier one took the Future Sight attack. Okay, we've pretty much won this. There's no way this Psyduck can beat us, so we can just focus on it at our leisure. The main key to this is making sure that Psyduck comes out at the same time Electrode does, but you also need to know what Psyduck's ability is and how it works. So, like I said, a bit of general knowledge on Pokemon abilities goes a long way here. You served us well, Psyduck, as an unwitting pawn. And that's that Battle CD done.
We did it! We deactivated the bomb!
I feel like if self-destruct and explosion was still TMs in Generation 3, we'd get the TM of one of them from this, but instead we only get a Timer Ball. Because I'm going to have to lose this to show the advice anyway, I thought I'd show what happens if you knock out one of these two and not the other one in the same turn. This causes Electrode to be sent in. And with no Psyduck on the field, and with Electrode the fastest thing, it doesn't matter even if we're able to knock out Xatu this turn. Electrode will begin the turn by exploding, and with a Choice Band, we instantly lose. So yeah, that's why you want to make sure both Xatu and Ariados go down in the same turn. It is the only way to win this Battle CD. And thus the sole survivor was Psyduck. The advice here... I guess that is interesting. It doesn't tell you exactly which ability it is, but you can probably figure it out, considering that Furret and Feraligator's abilities don't do anything to nullify Explosion. Well, in fact, one of Furret's abilities doesn't do anything in battle at all. This Battle CD's lesson is very simple. Damp prevents any Pokemon on the field from using Self-Destruct or Explosion, including the Damp user's allies. This means that if you're planning a team for double battles, be careful if you have any Pokemon with the Damp ability on it. It means you might want to think twice before teaching any other team members Self-Destruct or Explosion. And at the very least, if you are going to be using those moves, make sure the Damp user is off the field when you do. In later generations, the Damp ability didn't really change, but they did add some new moves and abilities that are blocked by it. The Aftermath ability in Gen 4, and the Mind Blown move in Gen 7. Fun fact, in the Mystery Dungeon series, Damp also prevents Blast Seeds from going off. The thing with Damp, though, is that while it itself didn't change, it got so much less useful starting with Generation 5, because that generation dealt a pretty big nerf hammer blow to Self-Destruct and Explosion. In earlier generations, those moves calculate their damage at half of the target's defense stats, effectively giving double the power the game says. This is no longer true starting with Generation 5. These moves calculate damage the same way normal moves do, so they are still effectively 200 and 250 power, and that's shared in a double battle. Both these moves used to be incredibly popular in competitive double battles. Starting with Gen 5 though, they almost died out entirely. They had a bit of a brief resurgence with normal gem Explosion, but then X and Y removed the normal gem, and so they just pretty much vanished. You do see them now and then, but nowhere near as much as you used to. Because of this, the Damp ability is nowhere near as useful as it used to be. It could actually be a pretty good ability to have on doubles teams in Gen 3 and 4 just due to how common Explosion was. Times have changed though. Battle CD 29, Madcap Magikarp. Splash is all any Magikarp does, except for the ones that have Tackle, or the ones that have Flail, or the ones that have Bounce. Anyway, it's the thing that Magikarp is most infamous for. So, this Battle CD is pretty interesting. We're facing 3 Magikarps, all at different levels, and they only have Splash. We can't lose, right? Well, we're on a 5-turn time limit. And here's the twist. Our only form of damage is one-hit KO moves. I actually quite like this Battle CD. Even though I normally hate one-hit KO moves for just being luck-based, this Battle CD actually uses one-hit KO moves to make for a very creative puzzle. You need to know one aspect of 1-hit KO moves, though, that the game doesn't really tell you. But if you know that, it's actually pretty clever how you do this. So notice how Smeagol has Mind Reader, Poliwhirl has Mind Reader, but no 1-hit KO moves of its own, it has to mimic one. And Spheal has a 1-hit KO move, but no Mind Reader. So, how are we going to do this? So, here come the Magikarps, and they're just going to be wasting their turn splashing. Really, every enemy turn in this Battle City is completely pointless, so they're just a waste of time. What you need to know about 1-hit KO moves is that they only affect Pokemon of equal to or lower level than you. So, for example, Smeargle is level 48. It can't KO the level 49 or level 50 Magikarps, only the level 48 one. So, we have to make sure that we Mind Reader that one specifically. Now, Spheal could go for Sheer Cold against this Magikarp, but it only has a 30% chance of hitting. And if you do this Battle CD right, you will never have to worry about using a 1-hit KO move when it's purely a coin flip whether it hits or not. You will always be using 1-hit KO moves in situations where you are guaranteed to hit. And that's what I like about this Battle CD, so we have to actually switch out Spheal for Poliwhirl. You could try for a Sheer Cold this turn, but you don't actually need it. So, well, firstly the Magikarp just splashes. Like I said, all enemy turns here are completely pointless. So Smeargle now has a lock on the level 48 Magikarp. So what Smeargle's going to do here is Fissure that Magikarp. Here's the thing though, Poliwhirl needs to mimic Smeargle's Fissure. However, Poliwhirl is faster than Smeargle, so if we use Mimic now, it will fail, because the last move Smeargle used was Mind Reader, which Poliwhirl already knows, so at this point Poliwhirl is just going to waste its turn. I mean, Poliwhirl could try and KO this Magikarp, but it's much better if Spheal does that. It's best if Poliwhirl waits for level 50 Magikarp to come out. Once again, they just keep splashing. And there goes one Magikarp, thanks to Fissure. But now Smeargle is completely useless, because its level is lower than all the remaining Magikarps. Or is it useless? We also have to make use of a fairly obscure aspect of Mind Reader, but what we need to do here is we have to Mind Reader the level 49 Magikarp, while Poliwhirl goes ahead and mimics Smeargle's Fissure. Because that was the last move Smeargle executed. Again, the choice versus execution thing is coming into play here. Yeah, when you select a move on the menu, that doesn't count as the last move you've used. It doesn't count until you've actually used the move. So, Smeargle goes and Mind Readers the level 49 Magikarp. And now, what do we do? Well, now we actually Baton Pass out to Spheal. And the reason for that is that, okay, last turn we actually mimic Fissure, so we have to Mind Reader level 50 Magikarp now. But yeah, the reason for that is that Smeargle can't actually hurt these Magikarps with 1-hit KO moves, but Spheal can. Well, the level 49 Magikarp, that is. And Baton Pass does pass the effect of Mind Reader on, which allows Spheal to be guaranteed to hit the level 49 Magikarp, despite its own lack of Mind Reader. So, like I said, I really like this puzzle. They actually managed to use 1-hit KO moves to make a pretty clever battle, when usually 1-hit KO moves are just dumb and luck-based. So, Spheal is now essentially Mind Readered, so we can Sheer Cold that Magikarp, and we Fissure the level 50 Magikarp. And that should end this. So yeah, once you know those two aspects, the fact that 1-hit KO moves only work on Pokemon of equal to or lower level than you, and that Mind Reader can be Baton Passed, you've pretty much got this battle won, but it's a pretty clever one. I will admit, as much as I hate the move, Sheer Cold does look very cool in this game. No pun intended. Didn't think it was possible to humiliate a trainer who only used Magikarps even further, but yeah, how's that for humiliation? You just lost to entirely 1-hit KO moves. This is now the Battle Tower. And for winning that, what do we get? An Elixir. I guess those are kind of rare in this game. So what's our advice for this one? That doesn't just apply to sheer cold, it applies to any 1-hit KO move. That is also very, very helpful to know. There are 2 lessons to be taken from this battle CD. The first is that 1-hit KO moves don't work on Pokemon of a higher level than the user. This is something that their descriptions never actually tell you, but you might be able to figure this out through seeing opposing Pokemon use 1-hit KO moves against you during the main story. Another hidden aspect of 1-hit KO moves is that they have higher accuracy against Pokemon lower level than you. Starting in Generation 3, accuracy increases by 1% for every level you are higher than the target. This CD also teaches the obscure effects of another move, namely that Mind Reader can be baton passed. Again, this is something that's not obvious by the move's description. Though if you know the kind of moves Baton Pass does pass on, it should be pretty easy to figure it out. In an actual multiplayer battling environment though, I don't think there are very many situations where baton passing Mind Reader is useful. There's not many changes in later generations that would have affected this battle CD, even though Mind Reader and Sheer Cold did get a few minor tweaks across the generations. Starting in Generation 7, Ice types are now immune to Sheer Cold. I am so thankful for this, because previously Sheer Cold was the only 1-hit KO move that didn't have any immunities at all. Also, its accuracy is lowered if not used by an Ice type. Bulbapedia doesn't list exactly how much the accuracy is lowered by though, so does anyone know? As for Mind Reader, in Generation 4 and on, it bypasses accuracy and evasion modifiers and always hits. Lock-On got the same change. Neither of these changes would have affected how this battle CD went down though, which I'm kinda glad for as it's a pretty clever puzzle in my opinion. Battle CD 30, Shedinja and Raticate, find that winning combination. What is that winning combination, you may ask? Well, you'll see. So we have a Shedinja here. One of its moves seems stupidly suicidal, but it might actually be the key to this. And Eradicate with some other very weird moves. But one move it has in particular is useful here. And we're up against a very weird Meta-Type and Medicham. They have no attacking moves. So, we have no risk of losing this by being KO'd, it's only the 4-turn time limit. And here's something also weird, if the AI didn't follow the set routine that it does in this battle CD, you wouldn't be able to win, so that's kinda strange. But anyway, let's do this. Rat and Cicada Shell versus Pacifist Meta-Type Medicham, let's go! So, the key to this is realizing that our direct attacking moves are not enough to knock out both of these Pokemon in 4 turns, especially since the AI always double detects on the first turn. So how do we do this? Well, Raticate knows a move, Endeavor. Endeavor lowers the target's HP to equal yours. So for example, if I use it on this Medicham here, Medicham will get lowered down to 115 HP. If I use it on Metatype, it would fail because Metatype's HP is already lower than Raticate's. Now, if only there was a way for Shedinja, who always has 1 HP, to learn Endeavor. Normally there isn't. But not in this battle CD. Remember that Mimic can be aimed at your own Pokemon. And Raticate is faster than Shedinja, so by doing this, Raticate will use Endeavor, making it the last move that it used, and allowing Shedinja to mimic Endeavor. Then the real fun begins. Because even though that Endeavor was blocked by the Protect, we can still mimic it. Because I love how Shedinja just twitches in place for its attack animation. So we now have a Pokemon that is permanently at 1 HP that has Endeavor. So yeah, let's go ahead and do this. So let's Endeavor you, doesn't really matter who you Endeavor, because both of them will use Calm Mind this turn. I suppose you could try and Toxic to get rid of the Pitcher Berries. It's not really necessary. Because you can knock them out with Toxic, but you really don't need to. Because come turn 4, everything is going to go down to Sandstorm. That's the plan here. Now, if the AI decided to double detect again next turn, there'd actually be no way we could win this in time, so I'm kind of glad they don't. Next turn, they'll both use, I forget what their 4th move slot was, but it's not important. So now Shedinja can endeavor the other one. We could actually go for Toxic on the Metacham to try and take it out now. But like I said, it's actually not necessary. Because once both of them are down to 1 HP, we can just use Sandstorm and they'll both faint. Meditate, that's the last move. I had a feeling it was. Yeah, you can only get rid of one of them with Toxic anyway, so you will need to use Sandstorm eventually. Make sure you endeavor both of them, not just one. Now they're both down to 1 HP, and one of them is down to 0 HP thanks to the poison. Probably shouldn't have done that, because I like the Sandstorm finish to this. So this is the last turn, and they're going to switch back to Detect again, but it really doesn't matter because that won't protect them from Sandstorm damage. Unfortunately, Shedinja must now sacrifice itself for the greater good. Again, these Battle Cities just love abusing Shedinja, don't they? So yeah, like I said, this won't help you. Because it's time for... Shedinja learns a lot of weird moves that are normally no useful to it, but in some obscure cases can be. So, Metatite is down, but sadly, Raquette takes some slight damage, and there goes Shedinja. Shedinja Abuse Battle City, count 3. And this isn't the end of Shedinja Abuse. There's one more Shedinja Abuse Battle City out there. So, for completing that, what do we get? An Ultra Ball. So far, the 5 Lumberries is the only real good reward here. That and the Focus Punch TM. So let's see the advice for this one. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's kind of a hint that if only there was a way to have Shedinja with Endeavor, then it would be amazing, wouldn't it? Like the last one, this CD is more concerned with providing a puzzle than actually teaching practical game mechanics. It does show that Endeavor combined with a Pokemon with 1 HP can be a pretty powerful move, and it's particularly dangerous when there's a Sandstorm in play. Shedinja always has 1 HP, so it seems like the perfect Pokemon to use Endeavor, but it doesn't normally learn the move. It can via Mimic though. In practice, I wouldn't recommend trying this as an actual strategy. The chances of you actually pulling it off are very, very low. It's really not that worth it. Honestly, Soak Shedinja is probably a little bit more useful and less hassle to do. I couldn't find any changes to Endeavor or Mimic that would have affected this Battle CD at all, so I'll just take this time to mention that starting in Generation 5, a new king of Endeavor Sandstorm was born. A level 1 Aron with the Sturdy ability and a Shell Bell is capable of endeavoring foes down to very low HP, recovering all its health back with Shell Bell thanks to its percentage-based healing, and whether it's at 1 HP or full, it will always endeavor something down to the point where Sandstorm will knock it out. This strategy is definitely not unbeatable. There are many ways to get around it, but it can be pretty fun to use.